Lords beckons for the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy, which is at such an intriguing juncture. 1-1 now after India won at Edgbaston. What can we expect from this third game? Let's look ahead to it on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday with Sanjay Manjrekar. Sanjay, glad to have your company again. Uh, how much can change in a week? India, who looked so much the better bowling attack of the two, will now be bolstered by the return of one Jasprit Bumrah.
Yes, it's been an incredible story, and how much ever praise you pile on to this Indian team, it's not enough with the way they batted, and the score line is something only the very optimistic fan would have expected at the end of two test matches. The way they played in the first as well, they lost it, but I thought they won in so many areas of the game, and the second test match was just a great story. So well done. And yes, one of those wins for India to be proud of because of just winning against all odds.
Yeah, so they now have a moral victory, an actual victory, and they are back at a venue where they won two of their last three tests, including a famous one in 2021. But Jasprit Bumrah returning, who goes out?
Uh, well, I see a seamer going out unless it's a seaming green top, and even a green top at Lords. If the sun is out, we saw a few years back when Ajinkya Rahane got 100, it becomes a dry pitch. So I don't think India will get too carried away with steam. So Bumrah back, then Siraj, Akashdeep are your three seamers, and Prasidh Krishna may just sit out. So that could be the obvious choice.
The reason I brought that up was because if we go back to that second test and India tried a different sort of combination, Nitish Kumar Reddy, without piling on the pressure on him, no contribution with the bat, only 6 overs bowled in the first innings, not used in the second. Can India dare to go with four seamers, get Bumrah in for a Reddy?
I don't think so. And because Prasidh Krishna has had his issues, it's not like he is not droppable. Mohammad Siraj had a terrific test match because he was another, seam bowler who was slightly vulnerable with his place in the 11. But in the last game, Mohammad Siraj has clinched that place, and Prasidh Krishna, with the economy being a problem, I don't see India going in that direction. They'll go with three seamers, and the pitches in England, that's another story. So gone are those days when we used to have full sleeved Indian batters batting in the cold conditions in the 70s and 80s. So I don't see India playing four seamers and shouldn't as well.
All right. And looking at the batters, there's only really one question. Karun Nair has had two tests, not made the biggest impact. Also had to bat at number three in the last game. Are you persisting with him? Would you look at changing things up? Is there room for Sai Sudarshan?
Yeah, there were some very interesting selections made in the last game, which I didn't agree with, and a lot of people would not have agreed. But in the end, win can completely sort of put a cover on those decisions. I thought Sai Sudarshan, after just one test match, to be left out, considering he's one young player that we're looking at the future, and I thought he played pretty okay in the second innings. I'd like to stick with Sai Sudarshan. I would like to, but this team management is slightly different. They're not afraid to chop and change every game depending on, just the vibe or feel, watching the player in the nets or thereabouts. And fair enough, those are the kind of team managements that we've had in the past as well. But I would like to see Sai Sudarshan at number three. Karun Nair is not a number three player in my book. In these conditions, perhaps he can manage. But long-term view, and just that it was unfair to drop him after one test. If everybody is getting, big hundreds, new players on their first trip, getting these kind of scores, I think Sai Sudarshan deserves that opportunity as well. And I'd like Karun Nair to get one more chance just because of the story around his selection and comeback. And maybe Nitish Kumar Reddy could make place for him down the order.
One final word, and I'm inclined to bring up the cautionary tale from Perth and the Border Gavaskar Trophy of last year, because it was a similar storyline where India went in with an 11, which a lot of people from the outside, yourself included, felt was not the right balance. They won that test, but that balance then they paid the price for it through the rest of the series. Is that something to keep in mind looking ahead at this series now?
Yeah, that's likely to happen. It's something that the team management should be wary of. But obviously, there was a different captain at that time. Shubman Gill will perhaps have more of a say. And I'd like to see India um, being pragmatic and being realistic about how good their team is. I think they've got to still be careful about their batting because conditions until now have been incredible. And because Shubman Gill has got these big hundreds, he's made sure that India were able to win in the last test match. I'm just imagining Shubman Gill getting 103 and 104. And it would have been tough to win that test match. So Shubman Gill has taken care of a lot of those issues where India need to make sure that the batting is in place. Plus, a changed England bowling attack will have perhaps a little more of sharpness to it and more potency. So yes, I'd like to see India being uh, very realistic about how they are as a team, their ability, and what the pitfalls could be with certain selections, and not get too carried away with what happened in the last game because it was a story of Shubman Gill's big hundreds and Akashdeep's bowling performance when you look at it.
All right, that is the setup done. Sanjay Manjrekar, thank you so much for your time. We'll look
Thank
forward
you.
to your company through this third test. Thank you.
Thank you.